Our journey started one hot May morning from Ganapatipule. We had booked a ticket on a minibus which was supposed to take us up the coast from Ganapatipule to Guhagar and Durga Devi temple on the north, and then make a return trip on more or less the same road and then drop us at Ganapatipule. The high point of the trip was crossing a small portion of the sea which comes inside the land at Jaigad Fort. From Jaigad Fort, our bus was to drive on a ferry boat, and the ferry boat was to carry us around 4 to 5 kilometers across that small portion of sea and take us to Tavsal beach. If we had not taken the ferry, the locals told us that we would have to travel about 60 to 70 kilometers more to find a bridge over the Jaigad river, which eventually joins the sea, which we were going to cross by ferry. The entry to the roll-on, roll-off ferry ramp was through a rough road which took us to the very edge of the sea, and then we had to wait our turn in a longish queue. Our number was 8 from the top, so we might or might not make it in the next boat. The look of the ferry was rather a surprise. I was thinking of a boat. It was like a floating platform powered by a large diesel engine with 2 propellers which helped it steer. It came in gradually. Its roll-on roll-off ramp was open. It noisily crashed onto the RCC ramp on the jetty, and in 30 seconds vehicles and passengers began to disembark. We had bought our tickets and we were waiting in the queue. One ferry would go, then another would come, and then our turn would come. So we waited in the humid heat and chatted with fellow passengers and tourists for the next ferry, which would come very soon. While waiting for our ferry, we watched different ships like this dredger and the Coast Guard ship a little bit far off, and a large sort of vessel waiting for going to Dubai. That's what they told us. And soon our ferry approached and we were all ready to board it. We show our ticket to the ferry master and we jump to the landing at the Tavsal beach. Our minibus is seen with a table tied on its top. I'll tell more about it. It was a very fun thing to watch our ferry approach the ramp at Tavsal beach. We went in and berthed at the ramp, and soon we were ready to go. The story of the table tied on the minibus is something like this. An old lady from Ganapatipule wanted to send that table to her son-in-law at a remote place called Adur Fata. She wanted the bus driver to do it for free, but the bus driver was adamant on payment. They haggled a lot, and ultimately rupees 300 was decided as the final price, while 10 passengers who had paid rupees 4,000 amongst them waited and sweated in the minibus. The road was becoming more and more difficult. Hairpin bends were very common. Sometimes the driver had to actually stop to permit a vehicle coming from the other side to pass. Once the road completely ended and we wondered what we were to do when the driver found this particular road. It was so rough, and the old minibus, whose suspensions had probably given away many years ago, really jarred us to our very bones. While returning to the Tavsal ferry from the various temples that we visited, our driver drove very fast I asked him what was the hurry. He told me he would like to overtake all the vehicles and be ahead for the ferry. And ultimately, we were placed third in the line to the ferry. The wait for the ferry began. Watching the various fishing boats was extremely fun. We wondered what kind of fish they would catch. One of the locals said it was a matter of luck whether they would find fish or not, till they had caught a sizable amount of fish which would give them some profit. Finally, we had boarded the return ferry and waiting for the other ferry to arrive. The company has two ferries, and there is an unwritten rule that both ferries should not be at sea at the same time. So, when one ferry is berthed, the other ferry comes, and the first ferry reverses and lets the second ferry berth on the ramp. So, we had a grandstand view of the other ferry coming and berthing, while our boat reversed and we were on our way towards Jaigad Fort. There was a wash basin on the upper floor where the passengers were sitting. I'm sure it was for those people who suffer from motion sickness, just in case. Our boat turned with the help of the two propellers. One reversed, one regular, and the boat actually swung around and we were on our way. The propellers pushing the water behind as we went ahead was a very soothing sound and sight. I just sat there fascinated watching the water being pushed as we went ahead. And after half day of driving in the high summer over rough, rugged, broken roads with frequent hairpin bends and steep slopes, we are back to the Jaigad side of the ferry. Now the drive towards Ganapatipule would begin.